Yo, did you see it snowing and hailing the other day?
Nope.
You didn't? For
In
real?
here? Where was that?
On Tuesday. You didn't get the hail?
Tuesday. I saw it raining. I was
Bro.
I was on my way to the Jackson game.
Dude, it was like golf ball size hail.
Oh yeah. That's tough.
But it got me cold. Can you heat it up? Did you like that? You didn't even know where I was going with that.
Oh, that's so tough. Hey. Hey. Oh, what episode is this? 27?
27. Eddie
Yo.
George.
Episode 27.
Name a basketball player that's number 27. I bet you can't. I got one in my head.
I don't know. Who?
He plays for the Denver Nuggets.
Not Michael Porter.
No. And it's Michael Porter Jr.
Well, I was kind of cutting out time.
Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray's 27?
Yeah, bro.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And he's 26 years old. So there you go. Fun fact.
Oh, so when he turns 27, will he still keep the same
What if
number?
he went down to 26?
Oh, man. We got a good one ahead of us today
Yes.
because we need to talk. We need to conversate, and we need to get to the bottom of some things that are going on in youth basketball.
Yes. Big discussion. We've talked about it before, and I just don't think. I think the message gets out there, but doesn't stick. And I think we just got to keep relaying the message
Yep, until they start listening.
because it's like a broken record. I mean, it's like we hear it, we see it, we hear it. It's just like it's just like dragging on, and it's exhausting, and it's you just zone out half the time.
Yep. But we'll get to that. What kind of good news we got this week?
Good news. Well, we'll first start off. We'll bring it to my hometown of Sparta, Michigan, the little village.
Go.
If you guys did not catch it, Sparta made it the ESPN top 10, number 6, I believe it was.
Yo, shout out Sparta.
Shout out Sparta, my high school, and my brother, who is the JV coach and the assistant varsity coach. But no, it was pretty cool.
Wait, so Andy was on ESPN?
Andy was on ESPN. Yeah, does that make him like super famous?
Yo, not too many people make it on ESPN.
Not from Sparta. Not from Sparta. No, but it was pretty cool. It was senior night, so even just to make it all more special, Landon Reister, if I got that wrong, it's my bad, Landon. They were down 3, hit a game-tying three-pointer to send it into overtime, and they were down 2 in overtime with 2.5 seconds left, inbounding at their own basket. And the star of the team, Jax Wilson, who I had a pleasure training his older brother and coaching his older brother. And I just remember when I was in high school, I actually would train Jax, with our little community youth basketball training on Saturdays, and you just kind of knew Jax was special. He's a tough lefty. Not too many lefties are in Sparta, but Jax caught the ball about 5 feet from half court. Took a dribble to the left, hoisted it up there, and banked it in to win the game by 1. And for him to be a senior and to walk off senior night with that,
that's a tough way to do it on senior night.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. So congrats, fellas.
Yeah, congratulations.
It's crazy. I was actually texting my brother. So that was their senior night, and like here in New Jersey, we're already in the States for boys and girls, but they haven't even hit the postseason yet. And they started at the same time, which it's a little strange to me.
They have like snow days and stuff built in?
I'm assuming they did. I didn't hear a whole lot, but usually New Jersey lasts so long in basketball because of the TOC. But I mean, the TOC actually ended this year, so it's not gonna go as long. But it's just strange to me that
Yeah.
I think New Jersey teams play a lot of games. They play a lot more games than Michigan teams.
Do you know the number? Like how many games Michigan plays?
20 regular season.
20 regular season.
Yep.
Plus, how many tournaments did they
Well, the tournaments are included in that.
get? So they
When I was in high school, the tournaments were a part of your regular season.
So you get a total, like at the end of the year, a player could have a maximum of 20 games.
Yep, and then everybody makes districts. So basically, it's your states in New Jersey.
Oh wow!
So like once you lose in districts, you're done. So I like the New Jersey setup where it's like it's a March Madness, or like it's a conference bracket.
Yeah.
You played it for your conference, no matter like if you had a good record or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like your conference champion is dependent on how many conference wins you have during the season. And that's what it is. So there's no conference bracket, there's
Okay.
no conference championship or tournament. But yeah, so it's 20, you're done. And then, New Jersey like picks up games and they play like 25, 27 games before.
Yeah, they're up there. But they get a total of like 2 tournaments. So you could play a maximum of like 2 tournaments.
And those aren't counted as their regular season, or they are?
If you don't play in a tournament, you're allowed to pick up extra games based on that.
Okay.
So it is included in that. But the tournaments are like, so usually around Christmas time,
Yeah.
teams will get like a Christmas tournament or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the conference, basically the county tournament.
Yeah, and I wish they would do that in Michigan. And I thought it was so cool too when I first moved here that the winner of each group or state,
Yeah.
then they play to see who's really the best team in New Jersey. That's
Yeah.
the TOC, the Tournament of Champions. So you would have the last 4 teams standing, and then they would fight it out. But
Yeah.
in Michigan, it's Class A through D. And you play at Michigan State at the Breslin Center, and if you win the Class A championship, you're done. Like, kind of like that's going to be like the new norm in New Jersey. But I love the TOC. I wish they would bring it back, but
Yeah, I agree.
But that's a little off track. But congrats, Sparta, Jax Wilson,
Yeah.
Landon,
Congrats.
the whole Sparta team. Shout out, bro, Andrew,
That's dope.
Mr. Famous, Mr. ESPN.
Yeah, he's Mr. ESPN from now on.
But yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
Nah, that's dope. That's dope. Couple things going on this week that are pretty exciting. We've got, so here's the thing, like when you've been in this training I guess industry, if you want to call it that, or if you've been in the basketball community for a while, you start to watch these kids grow up. You start to watch them reach all their dreams and their accomplishments, and we got a couple of those this week.
Yeah, we got some big ones. Let's first start. All right, well, I should have asked you off air, but how long have you known your player?
Okay,
let me rephrase that. It's not your player. Obviously, we don't own players.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
How long have you known the player that you've worked with the most?
Zoe Maffey, who just scored her 1,000 points this week.
Congrats.
I've been working with her since she was in 8th grade.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was a long time coming. And you have to figure, like, when she was in her freshman year, she had the likes of two other Division I players who did most of the scoring. So she was considered like a passer. Like
Wow.
like most of her freshman year, she was just passing.
Yeah.
She'd get the rebound and dish it out. So
Getting 1,000 assists.
yeah, you figure that. You figure the COVID year.
Wow.
So for her to do that in, maybe, and she missed 8 games this year.
Yeah,
So to do that in, 2.5 years, maybe,
that's insane.
it's really good. So happy to see her do that. I know that's something that she didn't really think about too much, but once it came into play, it was like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's exciting too.
No, that's awesome. And I've had the pleasure to work with Zoe a little bit, since we've had the facility here, and she's just, like a bundle of joy. And, it's not that like, that's what I love about players like Zoe is like, when it's time to work, they'll take serious, but they're so like fun and goofy off the court that you just want to be around. And it's, it's not, when it's time to work, it's time to work. But then like off, it's like, all right, I got to relax my mind. I got to, just take my mind somewhere else, because if I'm always constantly thinking about, the game or my workout or a bad game, whatever it is, it can wear on you. It can exhaust you. And, I think that's what we're going to talk about here pretty soon. But no, that's awesome. Congrats to Zoe.
Absolutely.
And the Jackson I don't say it right. Jaguars. Jaguars.
Nah, it's just Jaguars.
I'll just say the Jackson Jags.
That's perfect. Lady Jags.
The Lady Jags. No, that's awesome.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, no. There's a player since I moved here from Michigan. No pun intended, but his last name is Michigan. That's pretty cool.
I think that's fate.
It is fate. So I moved here about 5 years ago, and I started working with Josh Michigan, who is a senior right now at Brick Memorial. Unfortunately, their season came to an end last night against Colts Neck. But Josh is the fourth player in Brick Memorial history to reach 1,000 points. And it's, what did I start working with him around his 7th or 8th grade year. And just I still remember to this day about his dad coming, and we get all the parents all the time like, do you think they're ever gonna make it? Are they gonna play in the next level?
Yeah.
And they have parents out there, you have so much time. Players, you have so much time, but you have to be organized with that time. And Josh is one of those players that is so disciplined. He takes everything, serious when it's time to work. He sets aside, sacrifices friends' time, for workout time. He takes care of his body. And I had the pleasure to work out with him a lot. And it's just cool to see, an accomplishment like that, to be the fourth player in that high school history to be 1,000-point scorer. It's really awesome to see. And, he's definitely going to be playing at the next level. And I know his parents are definitely relieved. I know Zoe's going to be playing at the next level too. Yep. And it's just, we got to get those parents on there and just be like, okay, just trust them. They know what they're talking about.
5 years ago when we told you to just settle down and relax. What do you think now?
Yeah, what do you think now? Yeah, because again, man, again, you have to be patient with time, and we talked about this in the last podcast. But it will work out. You just got to be patient, and to see these two go on and play at the next level next year, it's awesome. So congrats to you two, and by the time this,
you thought we were done, but guess what?
There's another one.
We got one more.
No, but by the time this airs, or as you're listening to it right now, there will be another 1,000-point score, which is pretty cool. Darius Adams from Manasquan.
Yes, sir.
They play Roselle tonight, and he's only 5 points away for being a sophomore. So you gotta think like from fresh last year to this year, he's putting up major buckets. And it's cool to see. I remember when I first moved here, I worked out with his sisters, Destiny and Dakota. And I just remember Darius being so little, and I had this talk with him too, and like he was just like the most obnoxious kid, like running around the gym, like throwing cones on the floor and med balls, and like dude, I was like,
so messed up.
What is wrong with this kid? Like, this kid's so hyper. I'm like, and just to see like, him grow and take and just, hone in on his talent and, come in and work on his skills. Cause he found that, that was a big part of his game. There's still, more that we can do, in that. And I'm excited for the off season to with you two working with them. And, but it's just cool to see, another 1,000-point score at such a young level, such a young age.
Yeah. No, I've had the pleasure of working with Darius, and I too, worked with Destiny and Dakota, and I also remember him
He was wild. Darius, you
Yo,
were
Darius,
wild.
you were wild, bro. There's no other way around it. But you know what? It's nice to see, you know, the young man that he's grown into be. You know, the talent that he has and the talent that will ultimately continue to grow. It's good to see and good to have had the opportunity to watch that in real time. So
Yeah,
absolutely. You know, as this comes to you guys through your speakers, congratulations, Darius. You know, we're proud of you, and many more accomplishments
Yes.
and milestones to come.
And
And
we have one more.
oh,
But, you know, he didn't train here, but we talked to him about earlier. But Jax Wilson from my hometown, from my old high school, I want to say he's the second, if not the third player in history to reach 1,000 points in such a small little village. That's awesome. Congrats, Jax.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was not 1,000-point scorer. I came up short, but it's sweet. It's sweet to see you know, all these kids, you know, taking the game and involving it, and
Yeah.
you know, doing what they love and just flat out getting buckets.
yeah. You know, that's an interesting, that's interesting, right? So myself, I as well was not a 1,000-point scorer.
Yeah.
Right.
It really wasn't. To me, it wasn't a big thing back then. I'm not saying it wasn't a big thing, but like that wasn't really. And I'm not saying this is on their mind, but like it's a huge accomplishment. But it's like I don't know. To me, it was just like never really a thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was.
to me, it wasn't like, for me, it was something that I almost didn't see as attainable. For me, it was almost like one of those, you know, you had to be a special person, and not to say that they're not special people, but it just felt like, you know, in my time, I may have known maybe one other person that was able to get to 1,000 points.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You know, just personally. So, you know, seeing that was just something that was really different for me at that time.
Yeah.
So that to say, not having done it between the two of us, being able to share and watch others do it is it's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. What do you know what you ended up with? Do you remember?
I have no idea.
No.
No.
I was 106 away.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Yo, that's tough.
That
No,
is.
I definitely was not. I wasn't that part. Like, I was on. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it.
No, like, because they came out, I think my senior year, it was like maybe 100 years of our boys basketball program, and they came out with like all the records and the stat books, and that's how I just kind of know, because I vaguely remember seeing like all the names. That's why I think Jackson maybe is like the second or third.
That's
but,
crazy. That's
but yeah.
cool though. That's cool. Real cool. But yes, amazing accomplishments.
Yes.
Glad to see all of them reach that. I'm telling you, and I'm sure you would agree, there's going to be plenty more over the next few years.
Mark our words.
Yes, you'll be playing this back in a couple years and be like, "Yo, they did tell us that."
We'll have it queued up too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah. So what do we want to jump into? Oh, we said we wanted to talk about something that we're seeing in this basketball community.
There's something.
Hello? Hello? Anybody there?
I'm trying to figure out this Apple Watch. I can't do it.
Nice.
I'm sorry. What were you saying? Trying to put it on mute, man.
No, we said that there was some things going on in the basketball community that, we had talked about before, but we want to drive the message home as much as possible. So I thought we thought one of the best ways to kind of talk about it was to kind of like put it in a list, as we've been doing recently, just trying to get parents to understand, we're telling you the things that we're seeing. We're telling you the pretty much some of the results that we're seeing of that, whether that's happening right now or we've seen it happen. We're giving you the outcomes, and we're trying to prepare you for that and trying to help you avoid some of the things that, we may have seen over the years. So, let's do it, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
I think it's a good kind of a segue, because we were just talking about these players that are accomplishing these high points and these and all these great attributes, these rewards and attributes that they're getting. And it's, you kind of look and you kind of think about their parents. So I've had the pleasure to talk to all the players that we just talked about, all their parents, and not saying that other parents aren't down to earth, but it's almost like they step, not even they don't even take a step back. They take multiple steps away from their child and let them kind of do what they want to do. So meaning they're not always putting their hands into the cookie jar with them and trying to be like, you should have did this and you need to do this and just kind of always like, belittling them because they're not performing, how you want them to perform. And I think that's why these players are accomplishing these types of things, because they have they get to be free. They're stress free. They know that their parents aren't going to be mad at them. Yeah, they'll talk to them. They'll maybe break down some film, but it's not like a constant battle where it's like they're butting heads with each other. And I think, I think that's where we can really dive into this, that, the parents shouldn't be too hard on their children while they play. And I think we have four great reasons, and maybe we can come up with more, but
I think four is a good start. Like I said, we've talked about it before, but 4 is a good way to kind of like, dive into some of the different things and different reasons why we say what we say. You want to go ahead and give them the first one?
And and we've told this, we've seen it before, we've talked about it, but number one, it can negatively impact the child's enjoyment with the sport, whether it's basketball, football, golf, water polo, whatever it is. When you take the joy out of the process of playing, training, just simply going out and playing, just being around people that love the same sport that you do. It's like, why would I want to? Like, it's I don't want to get yelled at. It just goes back to that. It's like, I no longer have fun with the process. And that's when they can start, like we've said, they'll lose interest when they get older. You put so much pressure on them at a young age, and by the time they get older and they start making their own decisions, you as a parent might get hurt because they don't want to play anymore, or they just are like, hey, I'm going a different route. This is my life, and I'm sick of not having fun. Like, I'm sick of arguing with you. I'm sick of fighting. So it's, you lose that huge aspect, for your child or as the player.
Yeah, and I think just thinking about the future you, or the future version of your son or daughter, when you look at that future, you kind of want to look back on the moments in their basketball journey and not have to think about all those negative times. You want to kind of like look at it and enjoy it, right? But if all they can remember, or all you as a parent can remember, are the times when the game was done in those long car rides, and if that's all that they're able to take away from that, then that's not something that you want to live with, for lack of better terms. You know what I mean? But I definitely agree. It's you run the risk of negatively affecting whether or not they actually want to continue with it. It's a very fine line.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's like fun ways that you can kind of toy. My dad is a prime example. I have no idea why this sticks in my head, but I must have been in like 3rd or 4th grade, and we were outside out of the gym. We won the game, but I think I went 0 for 15 at the free throw line. Like literally 0 for 15. And that's all my dad kept saying. Like, he wasn't mad, he wasn't yelling, but he just kind of made it as a joke. Like, dude, he went 0 for 15, bro. And he just kept saying it, and it just kind of stuck. Like, he wasn't picking on me, he wasn't yelling at me, but it was just like, it was a mental test of like, dude, you better like, you're getting to the free throw line 15 times. You can't hit one dang shot. It's a free shot.
Yo, that is hilarious.
Yo, you got to ask him about it every time he comes up.
I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start doing that.
Like 0. And now, like, when I get to the free throw line, I'm not saying I'm automatic, but I'm damn near automatic because that stuck with me. But, like, he made it fun. You know, he didn't
I'm going to start bringing water bottles around kids, and I'm going to be like, 0 calories of 15. Yeah. I'm definitely doing that.
That's awesome. But it's something like that, you know, like, because if he would have just bashed me, I would have resented him, one, you know, because we see that a lot, and two, it's just like, well, you know, maybe it would have just been a total turnoff for me. Like, dude, I don't like this sport. Like, you know, I'm in 3rd, 4th grade. I love football. I love baseball. So I might go down to this avenue. But, you know, he challenged me mentally, and I've talked about this on previous podcasts, but it was still fun. Like, he did it in a fun way.
Yeah.
You know, it was never, you know, always mentally test. So I think if parents can start doing more mental tests rather than, you know, always like mental with fun, you know, have fun in it, because you don't want your child to just lose focus and lose the enjoyment out of it, because this game is ultimately fun.
and actually, you know what, I think, you know, in speaking of how it could negatively affect your child, like, you got to think, like, just in life, like, I don't want to spend my life just constantly having these negative thoughts of what my kid's doing on the basketball floor.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that to run my life. And as a parent, you shouldn't want that either.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much going on in this world that I've for example, I've seen parents leave the gym and literally it's broken their whole day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's Saturday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you take an L, and now your whole day is out the window.
Your whole off day.
Because all you can think about is this loss that took place, or this performance that took place. Like, you've got to be able to tuck that away. You know, like my coach used to say, you got to be able to take that game, throw it in the trash, and get ready for the next one. Mm-hmm. Like, parents have to do that same thing. Take that game, put it in the trash, and hope for a better one.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what? And I don't think you get enough of credit, you and your wife, because your child is on a full ride Division I basketball scholarship. And I don't think a lot of parents either ask you or follow your lead, which they should. You know, right. Lex has been, you know, such a joy when she's here. You can see her on TV. You can see her social media posts, and she's like a bundle of joy. Like, it just like lightens your day up. But like, I wish parents would ask you or follow your guys' footsteps, because it's like, you know, we had a parent in here watching your daughter play, and she's like, and they asked, you know, well, she doesn't play, and I'm like, no, like, she's a sophomore. There's really good people and older players in front of them. You know, there's no politics in it, and you know, it just kind of like, me saying that to them kind of rubbed that in the wrong, like, well, isn't Gary mad, or aren't they mad? Like, no, why would he? Why? Like, it's not his life. It's not his wife's life.
Yeah,
like, you'll be supportive, like, but at the end of the day, like, you know, Lex can definitely play and start, you know, it's on her, like,
absolutely.
You know, I don't think you guys get enough credit, and I wish more parents would just kind of like ask and follow your guys' lead. And I've been meaning to say that for a while, but it's just like, you can see it right now. Your daughter is on a full ride scholarship. You have the recipe and the formula, and no one's like taking the bait. Like, it's like,
I you know, that's the one thing that I wish the basketball community did a little bit more of. You know, we've talked about it briefly, like how kind of like some people come in and be like, yeah, everybody keeps asking me what we're doing. And I don't want to tell them. Like, I don't want to tell them where I train at. Like,
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a big secret, but it's like, you know, there's so many people that have been successful before you. If you just take a minute to just ask the questions. A lot of them, I know I am. I'm like itching to share. Like, it for me, it's weird. Like, to walk up to a parent and be like, yo, you know what I did? Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
But if they were to ask me, hey, you know, I'm really looking to figure out how I navigate this, what do you suggest? I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. Boys or girls.
Boys or girls, because it's not there's not that big of a difference.
Right.
You know, but yeah.
Well, parents, start asking this guy.
But yeah, no. So
Goodness.
I like number one. Number two, I think kind of falls in that same category, but it handles the mental part of it. And I think that if you're continuing to hound or stay on your son or daughter, ultimately it's going to hurt their self-esteem. And I think that we don't talk about this enough. Like, one, if we constantly say the number one reason or the number one thing that we hear when people come in is, oh, my child doesn't have the confidence.
Yeah.
Wait a second. If we're telling you that's all we hear all the time, why are we going to further do the things that are possibly damaging that confidence or damaging that self-esteem? So criticizing, like we talked about, yes, it's there's good ways to do it. There's bad ways to do it. But just in life, we have to give some positive with the negative. It can't be negative, 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 and then every other 3 Fridays, it's, oh, you played good.
Yeah. Or if you have like a bad day at work and then you just come to training and everything is just like you hate the world.
Yeah.
Like,
think about, like,
dude.
that's actually a great example, right? Think about like you being at work, right? You're in the corporate world. You're working for your boss or whatever that may be, and you don't hear anything positive.
Yeah.
All you hear is, oh, Jim, you didn't do this. Oh, Jim, where's my report? Oh, Jim, where's da-da-da-da? Oh, you didn't do that. Oh, you were late. Da-da-da-da. Like, bro, guess what? I don't want to come to work anymore.
Yeah.
And it's no different than in basketball.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, I just came up with this like $1 billion idea for the company and that we just made millions, and it's equivalent to your player scoring like 20 points, but like it's not good enough.
Yeah.
You know, like you just made the company $1 billion. You just scored 20 points, a career high, but it's like, nope. Like, you know, you walked in a curved line instead of a straight line when you handed it in. Like, dude, like what? Like, there's nothing. If you can't, like, if there's nothing positive that you can take out of any performance from your child, whether bad performance or good performance, it's like, dude, you're, like you said, you're damaging the self-esteem. I see there's a particular student that's like, you know, they come in, they'll have fun with the method that they've never done before. They get close to it, and you know, we've talked about it before where players have to stop looking at their parents, but they have a smile on their face when they miss the layup, and it's fun. And then all of a sudden they look at the parent, and then like it's like a sad dog, like the shoulders drop, their head drops, and it's like, oh man, I'm not supposed to have fun, or oh man, I'm not supposed to like mess up, like that right there. Like like I wouldn't want to train if I was that player. Like, you know, there's you just, I don't even know, man. But like, that self-esteem, like if you see your kid's shoulders drop, like, how does that not affect you as a parent? Like we allow our parents to sit in, but don't affect the child. Like, you know, just giving them looks, or if we're not looking, and you know, you go in the background and you're doing hand signals, like, dude, like, come on, man, just relax. Like,
no,
enjoy the time.
The other part, and you mentioned something on the other day, and I want you to repeat that. But the one thing that I think a lot of people don't think about when it comes to their child and how they're negatively affecting them, you have to understand, like, one of the biggest things that your child is already dealing with is the comparison of their peers.
Yeah.
Right? So they're already, every time that they go to practice, every time that they go to training, every time that they go to their team, they're comparing themselves to Jimmy. They're comparing themselves to Susan. And they already feel like, man, I just want to be as good as her, or I want to be as good as him. And then you want to come in and tell them how much they suck.
Right,
you know what I
right,
mean?
right.
So it's like, okay, I can't be as good as Susan. I can't be as good as Jim. I can't please my parents. Like, that's a cycle that is hard to overcome, on top of trying to worry about, the plays and everything else that comes with the game, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But you had mentioned something the other day, and I wanted everybody to hear it. When you were talking about how, all the different games or battles that the children are going through, the players are going through, as they're just trying to play the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So
talk a little bit about that.
So, I mean, you think about it, right? So your child's in a basketball game. All right. And I've been there. I know you've been there. As a player, there's I like how you phrase it. There's little battles, or there's little games within the game itself, right? So, game number one is obviously the game. Game number two is your opponent, meaning your defender, right? So, or whatever. You have two defenders guarding you that are switching up. So not only are you playing the full game, but you're playing the game against the person guarding you. Now you're also playing against the entire team, right? So now you're playing 3 games right now. So not only, like, if I beat my player, now I have another game. Now I have to beat the help side, or the other players. You start yelling at your player, and you start getting their focus more on you. That's 4 games now that they're playing. So they're playing the game, they're playing the defender, they're playing the team. Now they're playing you. Then let's say, we've seen our fair share of bad refs. So the refs aren't going your way. The calls aren't going your way. Now you're playing 5 games within 1 game.
Yep.
Now your coach starts screaming at you. You make turnovers. You're sitting. There's 6 games.
Yeah.
So within 1 game, you're playing a total of 6. There could be more games, it could be
There's
a student section, right?
Definitely more games.
The students might be cutting at you. So there's 7 right there. I've had that happen before.
Yeah.
So you're playing a total of 7, 6. There could be more games within 1 game.
Yep.
And you as a parent are basically against your child.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not see that, one, and how are you not trying to be on their team, basically?
Yeah.
You should be helping them out. If they look at you, give them tips. There was a parent earlier in the week, and he said, this weekend I decided to take a step back, and I let my player play. And I asked him, I said, well, how, from your point of view, how did they play? And he said, ask the parent, or ask the player. So I asked the player, and he's right in front of the parent. He's like, I played more free. I played stress free. I played carefree, not meaning like careless, but like it was just like a total like relief, like a weight vest was just off, and I was just playing, having fun.
Yeah.
Right. So he would look at the parent, and the parent would just give him a tip. Right. Or I got a foul. Like, I look at my parent, and he'd be like, yeah, you reached in. But it's like those little things, like,
yeah,
just give reassurance or give little help or tips. It's not, don't play another game within the game.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
important.
think we have to understand that as parents. I think we have to understand that as coaches and players, like, that we can't always just bash during the game, because it's not going to end well. It's not a recipe for success.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and I like that that way that you put it. Long story short, try not to make more battles than they already have to battle with.
100%.
Self-esteem and self-confidence is already one of them, on top of all the other things that we just mentioned.
Yep.
Number 3.
Yeah, number 3, I said a little bit in number 1, but your parent to child relationship could just be damaged. It could just be ruined.
Yeah.
It's, when the game's over, you have about, when I was in high school, there was a 24-hour rule for the parents and the coach. Okay, so you couldn't talk to the coach after the game. You had to wait 24 hours. So basically, you had to let all the steam, let all the
cool off.
Yeah, just all your heated whatever rage cool off. But you have to be able to allow that to happen. Not even you don't even have to wait 24 hours, right? Just allow that player to process everything before you start asking them questions, before you start asking about the game. Let them come to you.
Yeah.
Let them come to you. Let them ask the questions. Then you can start bringing up, other things based on their questions. If you go right to them and you're like, you should have did this, even though you scored 35 points, you missed this shot, you missed this open cut. Like they in their mind thought they just made you happy.
Yeah.
Right? They had a game. They had a great game. But you're not happy. It's like, well, then if I had a great game, but not in your eyes, what else outside of the basketball world am I going to do to make you happy that's not going to make you happy?
Yeah.
Right? Like cleaning my room or doing the bed or doing the chores without asking, taking the trash out. Like how am I supposed to please my parents? So the relationship just folds at that point.
Absolutely. And I can attest to number 3 as well. Like, in my own personal experience, I remember, when I was coaching my daughter, we constantly were butting heads. We were boom, boom, boom every time.
This is when she was younger.
When she was younger. Yeah. But then it became a point where I just had to step back, and I said, I don't want to coach you anymore. I want you to hear other voices. I want you to deal with other people. And there was a sense of restoration that came about our relationship. It went from being a very tension-filled relationship based on those picking on this or that.
Yeah.
To now it became a point where we can bond, something that we can bond over.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
now
absolutely.
basketball became a bonding opportunity opposed to a feud opportunity.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And your voice doesn't become just like another sound.
Yes,
right? So
absolutely.
You're, I know parents yell at their kids for doing silly stuff. We've all been there.
Yeah.
But when you start yelling at them to do silly stuff, but you're also yelling at them for playing a game, it's like, well, I can't win. Or your voice just goes one ear and out the other. So it's like I hear it all the time. So what's new? What's the difference?
And I think that's a big point. And I tell parents that all the time. One, I tell my advice for parents who are also their child's coach, and parents who have that are very involved with their kids' sport. I tell them all the time, it's like kids do not hear their parents' voice based on what is going on, whether it's in the game or at home cleaning their room, right? So me as a coach, as a parent, very involved, if I'm telling my child to go clean your room, they're going to receive that the same way as, hey, you need to start passing the ball more.
Yeah.
Or you need to do this.
Yeah.
The two things are going to sound the same to them. Right. And both of them are going to irritate the hell out of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like you have to allow other people to talk to them, and you just have to be a voice of comfort. Not to say that you can't speak on certain things, but there needs to be a loving portion of that where they can come to you and get the support that they may not get anywhere else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, and then that's funny too, because we always are asked, why don't we coach teams, right? And I'm sure there's other trainers out there in the skill enhancement world, even maybe in the game enhancement world, but just in my point of view, I've always been asked, why aren't you a coach? And to simply answer that is, coaches get loud, right? They're going to raise their voice, and you can't take that personally. So as a player, you might just be a loud voice. Like, I have a loud voice. I got that from my father. My father had a very loud voice, but it never meant he was yelling at you, right? So players might take that in a wrong way,
And they often do.
and they often do, and so do parents, right? Like, don't ever yell at my kid. Well, it's not. I'm not. I'm just very loud. That's just me.
There's only like 50,000 fans screaming in here, and I need to reach over top of that.
Right. But let's say there is a conflict with the coach and a player, because we've seen that,
Yeah.
right? And then the next day, you're supposed to have a training session with that player. Do you think that player is going to respond positively to me the very next day if we just butted heads on or in our game?
Yeah.
Like, that training session is going to be a wash. Like,
Yep.
it is not going to go well.
Yep.
And it's the same thing as a parent-player relationship. It's, the next day, you try to tell them to do something, and it's just like, I'm sick of you yelling at me. Like, I'm going to resent you.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I think that message needs to get out there. That's why we don't coach. Like, one, we don't yell as trainers anyway, but there's always going to be that resentment, that conflict. When you do, are constantly criticizing your players. So, don't let that damage your relationship with your child. Because I've seen it before where the kid just, he just packs up, the basketball bag, and it's like, all right, I'm hanging it up. I'm done. It's time for me to do, find something else, because it's just not worth it. Like, I'm sick of it. And you just don't want that.
Absolutely. For sure.
So, and I think the last one, number 4, I think it's, for us being in the field that we are, it damages the child's development.
Absolutely, yeah.
We've talked about it. I just said it earlier, but when you see players put their shoulders down and they're just like they're defeated. Again, you're training against this challenging method. Now you're training against your parent, and it's like, dude, like,
yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive, right? So if we're saying that we need the failures to build success, and the parent is saying, I don't want to see failure. I want to see you be perfect. It's not allowing them the opportunity to develop in a way that is going to be productive for them.
Yeah.
So in a way, they're kind of almost delaying the process.
Yep.
Right. So if you could just
the parents themselves are a roadblock.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a good way to put it. If you could just take a step back and allow them that opportunity, you'd find that their improvement and their development is going to be a much faster process.
Yeah.
But by you doing what you're doing, it's not making it any easier for the player. It's not making it any easier for you as a parent. And it's definitely not making it any easier for us as trainers.
Yeah.
Because we're fighting, just like you said, multiple battles as well. Mm-hmm. We've now got to almost train differently, because now we have to be, I don't want to say comforting, but we have to understand that part of it as well. All right, well, I can't really go forth and do all this because they're already going to hear it at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and it goes back to when we first started this podcast. Why are all these players 1,000-point scorers and going to the next level and playing college? Their development wasn't damaged by their players or by their parents.
Yeah.
And it just goes back to, just allowing that child just to have fun, find enjoyment, fail, because that's what, if you go to a skill enhancement specialist, you're there to try new things.
Yeah.
You're not always there to succeed. So, and that's the other part that kind of just, it just kind of bothers me. Like, if you don't want, and we've said it before, our training draws out weaknesses. Our training is designed to see you fail most of the time. We want you to succeed. Don't get that wrong. But if you are coming and you know that message and you are still getting mad at your player, why are you still coming? You know, it just doesn't make sense.
The two don't line up.
They don't line up. So if you can't find enjoyment when your player is here being, you know, finding or just going through all the weaknesses and basically sucking at every drill that we do, and you can't have fun and you're mad at them, don't come. Like and that's just not here. It's everywhere. So it's like, you know, we want every player, right? But it just, you know, I think you can hear it from the sound of my voice. Like, I'm not a parent, but that stuff just kind of irritates me. It's like, you know the message, you should know how to respond to the message, but you don't. But you still come. So it's like you said, it's two things that it just doesn't line up.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm not gonna talk to you for 24 hours. I got to get the heat off me. But no, I mean, like, I'm not a parent, but like I see all this stuff, and you're a parent, and I still am dumbfounded that more parents don't ask your recipe for success because you're living it right now.
Well, it's we've said it before. There's no manual to this.
Right.
There's no written instructions or how to finally reach the destination or whatever it is, the goal that you're looking for out of it. So I think parents just kind of do what they see other people doing without understanding what other people are doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Real quick, I'll give you one example. I know parents that would follow this one specific player, and the narrative online was that this specific player trained at this specific place, right? So parents were navigating to that specific place in hopes of following that same path, right? But the only thing that they didn't understand, or the only thing that they didn't know, was that player was doing other training. That player was doing this other, lifting or conditioning or whatever it is. So you're only following the piece that you believe to be true.
Yeah.
Opposed to actually doing everything that player did.
You're right.
Man, we can go on hours and hours from this because it's just a very good. We're very passionate about it. And we just want to see everybody succeed.
Yeah, and again, I'm not a parent, but I try to lend a helping hand because I've been around parents and players.
We've seen it.
And if you can again provide the positive reinforcement, the encouragement, it's going to make you as a parent just relax and stress free, but more importantly, your child's development, their self-esteem, their overall enjoyment with the sport is just going to skyrocket to a whole nother level. And with that, their skills are going to skyrocket. Their game's going to start skyrocketing, just like the 4 players that we mentioned. And again, we're not saying to be like them. We don't obviously, like you said, we don't know their all the story. We don't know their background, but we've been around their parents. We've seen how they kind of interact, and they just take step back. They take multiple steps back, and they just, if this is what you want, this is what you got to do. We'll help you. But they are very, encouraged, and they have good encouragement to them, and that's why they succeed.
Absolutely.
So I hope that these 4. These 4 things that we've told you really help, and they kind of hit home, and hopefully we can start seeing some change with training, playing from the parent side of it.
Yeah. And if you felt like this hit home for you, like, talk to us about it. We want to see change. Do you know? We can't tell you how to raise your child. All we could do is give you the ins and outs and the things that we've seen, and give you everything that we've learned from experience. So
Yep.
Take that for what it is.
Take flight. You're about to say take flight.
A little bit. A little bit.
Do it.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
man.
that was a good one. Again, leave your comments. Subscribe.
Follow.
Follow.
Hit the
And,
likes.
yeah.
Loves.
Dish and Dimes 27.
In the book.
Oh.
Yo, give me that.
Yo, what happened to peace? Peace.